What's up, guys? Welcome to Blues Nation. This is video number 2, and we're back in it with some Chelsea news. So today we're going to be talking about a handful of things. We're going to be talking first about the thrilling match at Stamford Bridge between Brighton and Chelsea Football Club, a match that has, in the past handful of years, been a bit of a banana peel, but recently we've been taking it back under our wing. And then after that, we're going to be talking about a match preview between Chelsea and Ghent, the Belgian Pro League side that will be playing in the Conference League on Thursday. And lastly, we'll be talking about one player who I think is on his last couple legs before probably heading out in the January transfer window. So let's go ahead and hop straight into it. So today, first we're going to start with the match review. So we're going to talk about what was the result, what were my thoughts on it, a couple of different topics I want to hit on. So who do we play? Who do we play today? We played against Brighton FC at Stamford Bridge, and that was this morning, another early kickoff, not as early as last week, but as we jump into that, I'm going to share my screen. We're going to look at a few things on SofaScore. So again, if you haven't seen SofaScore before, it's a really good statistics platform if you want to look at player ratings, player statistics, a bunch of different things for really any club across football. Then you can do that on SofaScore by just looking up your team. Would highly recommend it. So if you look here, first off, we can look at player ratings. I think they do a lot of different specs to look at how players should be rated based off of their performance. And obviously, no surprise who is the highest rated player in the squad, right? We have Cole Palmer with a 10, a perfect rating, because Cole Palmer is not just cold, but he's also perfect. So he's a 10. Our next highest is Jadon Sancho with a 7.6, and then Moises Caicedo on a 7.3. A couple players I think are a little unlucky. I personally think Nicholas Jackson's a little unlucky with his 6.8. Apart from maybe one opportunity he should have done better with, I actually think most of his opportunities in front of goal where he was released through a through ball via Cole Palmer, Nani Madueke, a few other people, and in on goal, at first glance you would think, how is he not putting these away? On second glance, I would actually say several of the chances would have been put away without a couple pieces of brilliant defensive work from Adam Webster and a few others as well. So I think he's a little unlucky. The one player here that I do not think is unlucky with his score is Rob Sanchez. I'm actually somebody who's been on his side of the team the most of this season. I was very unsure coming into this season, but he's proven himself to be worthy of at least having the number one spot for now within his last couple of performances. Today was the exact reason why some have been concerned. He has moments of brilliance, like the deflection stop he had last second moment where he realized deflection came off, I think it was either Levi Colwill or Wes Fofana, and he had got his right paw up and made a brilliant save. But other than that, on the first goal, it never should have happened. He came out in a really bizarre way and just sprinted towards the ball when it was well outside his 6-yard box and threw a fist haphazardly at it, and then it just headed and kind of flopped into the goal. It was not an earned goal whatsoever. Neither was the second, because he passed it straight to Brighton. It kind of seemed like he forgot that he has been transferred to Chelsea FC and is not playing for Brighton anymore. It seemed like he was maybe trying to sabotage a few times. But I don't want to be too harsh, because everybody has off games, and I think he's actually been quite good the rest of the season. But the few things I want to kind of enjoy together from this match were, first off, the complete pace of this game. You could not take your eyes off the screen, especially in the first half in this match. There was 6 goals in the first 45 minutes, including a 20-minute, not hat trick, 4-goal performance by our Cole Palmer. And that is my first point. Cole Palmer, I have no reticence saying this, and I do not think it's a hot take anymore, is world class. I think there is an argument to say from his performances all of last season and well into the start of this season that Cole Palmer is the best, if not one of the top 3 players in the Premier League. I think he has everything in his bag. I think he has the ability to press well in a really surprising way. I think he's good with his body. He's good at directing players in the places he wants them to go defensively. But I'm not delusional. I'm not going to say he's an amazing defender, but I think he will put in effort. I think he's an amazing passer. He always has his steps one ahead of everybody else on the pitch, like that through ball he did for one time in for Nico. And also, of course, he's clinical. He's absolutely clinical. And that shows with a 4-goal performance, which, as he said, could have been 6. And that's the last thing that I think makes Cole Palmer clinical and actually world-class, is his mentality. His mentality in that he does not think 4 goals is enough. He thinks there needs to be more than that. And that's why a 10 rating is perfect. Next, what I wanted to explain, which I think is extremely exciting, is the fact that I think Enzo Maresca ball is absolutely liquid. And what I mean by that is, if you watch it, it is an absolute pleasure to watch. I think there were times, especially in the past with a couple different coaches, where it felt like most games were not necessarily a joy to watch, but sometimes we could grind out a result, or sometimes we wouldn't grind out a result and things weren't even remotely interesting to watch. And one manager I look to, which definitely is not, I would say, a popular manager in Chelsea history, is Maurizio Sarri. And the thing that was problematic with him is he had a lot of the ball. His whole process as a coach, he viewed the priority was just having the ball. If you had the ball, you controlled the game. The problem is, and I think we saw this actually last year sometimes as well, possession does not equate productivity. Possession does not equate productivity. What I mean by that is we can have 90% possession, but if we have no shots on goal and 400 of the 500 passes are completed in our half, that is not worth anything. And today, what I think is amazing is that you actually see we had far less possession than Brighton, but we had far more opportunities on goal. And if it weren't for a few offered opportunities to them, they really did not have that many great opportunities on goal, except the ones we single-handedly gave to them. Enzo Maresca's philosophy has thoroughly come into the minds of all these players. I think everybody knows exactly where they need to be. Everybody knows exactly what their responsibilities are. People are comfortable. We're seeing consistent lineups. We're seeing consistent back lines. We're seeing consistent front lines, which I think is making everyone have built chemistry. Everyone have built confidence. And ultimately, we're seeing the fruits of that. We're seeing the fruits of that in being amazing form. We're seeing the fruits of that being top 4 in the EPL standing. And ultimately, I think we will stay there the rest of the year. This 4-2 victory was indicative of where this team is going. We still have room to grow with mistakes that we give, with sometimes goals that we should not allow, like we did today. But still, we come with a comfortable win where we actually probably could have won by 3 or 4 goals against a team that was unbeaten this season. Brighton is not a joke. They are a good club with a exceedingly young but interesting manager in Fabian Herzler. And I think this game was extremely encouraging once again, because that is the trajectory of what all of our games have been lately. Encouraging, which is a real pleasant change, isn't it? And lastly, the last thing I want to share through SofaScore, we're actually going to hop up to player statistics here. And this isn't going to be something shocking. I'm not going to show you something where it says, oh, Levi Colwill had, 10 defensive actions or anything like that. But what I will say is Levi Colwill had 10 defensive actions, 2 defensive actions, 2 interceptions, and also 1 total tackle. And one of the biggest things I see here as well, in addition to what we see elsewhere from Levi Colwill, is that he had 0 penalties given. Why is that a big deal? Why is that a big deal? Why do I hone in on something that seems maybe a little bit minute? The reason I do that is because Levi Colwill, I think, is the future of this defense. He will be the spine of this back 4 for years to come. I think we've been waiting for our next John Terry. I think we've been waiting for that player that's going to step into those shoes, that's going to be comfortable fulfilling both a leadership role as well as a skill role in the back, as well as calm. What we see is discipline, and what we see is consistency from Levi so far this season. Even a couple times at the end of this game, when it was getting near to the last couple minutes, you think sometimes players can fall asleep in these moments. He did not. A moment I really hone in on is at the end. I don't remember who was cutting in. It may have been Minte from Brighton, and he cut down the end line and could have squared a ball across net for an easy tap in. Levi tracked with him all the way after he beat Vega and knocked it out for a corner. That is the kind of player we have coming up, and he's only, I believe, 21, which is an amazing excitement for us to look forward to. That's my last takeaway in our 4-2 victory against Brighton, which is super exciting and something we continue to build upon. All right, guys, so next we're going to jump into the match preview. So unlike our match against Brighton and unlike our match against Barrow, we have a different opposition from yet another different country, not from England, not from Switzerland as Servette was, and we're going to another country. We're going to Belgium this time. And they're a team from the Belgium Pro League, and they are a fairly decent team. The reason I could say that is because I actually recognize their name, and I do not watch Belgian football. However, I do know the name Ghent. And if you want to look at some of their recent results, they've been okay. They have a couple wins, they have a loss, and they have a couple draws, I think. And they are 6th in the Belgian Pro League right now, sitting on around 13 points. So actually, they're not far off, if you want to think about it this way, from where we are in the standings of the Belgian Pro League. But one thing I think is interesting that I want to kind of hone in as we look at this game that we have on Thursday, October 3rd at 3 p.m. at Stamford Bridge is this game. This is against Club Brugge. So we all probably know of who Club Brugge is. They are another team from the Belgian Pro League. And we see here first, we look at the score, we see 4-2 win for Ghent. Interesting. One thing that struck my eye immediately when I was looking at the statistics of this match, 4 goals to 2 goals. Similar score to ours, right? However, let's look at shots. We see 6 goals for Ghent, or 6 shots for Ghent, and 27 shots for Club Brugge. There is a whole stack of things we would have to look into to what on earth was going on with Ghent in this moment. And a few of those being these. One, there is a potential that they're somewhat clinical, as they had 4 goals from 6 shots. 4 goals from 6 shots. One of them was an own goal, so let's say 3 goals earned from 6 shots. That is a goal every other shot, which, whether or not this one game or not, it shows a somewhat tendency that against a decent side in the Belgian Pro League, in Club Brugge, they can perform. And next, also, we see they give up a lot of shots. Almost 30 shots, no matter who you're against, is an unbelievable amount of shots to allow. And it was 27 shots, 9 on target. So almost 10 shots on target is also quite a few. So I think there's a few things we can glean from that. I think, one, we can glean that they allow a lot in and around their box. But 2, and this is something I think we need to be aware of, they can weather a storm. They did allow 2 goals, however, they were also able to respond to that. So I think they're a team that's not necessarily going to get rattled super easily if they're able to weather a kind of 30-shot storm like that and still come out with a 2-goal victory. So that's something that's interesting to keep a hold of. Do I think that they're going to win against us? Absolutely not, but I'm just saying no matter the opposition, I think we have to be aware that they could be a challenge, absolutely. So we need to recall that and not take that for granted. So next, guys, we're going to step into the lineup that I believe we're going to have. And sorry about the camera change. As I was mid-filming this, my camera died. So that is perfect. So if you see a little bit of change in quality, that is why. So anyway, we're going to step straight into this. So who do I think is going to be in the front line? I think first off, it's going to be Christopher Nkunku. I believe deserves the minutes. This is kind of where he's been slotting in European/Cup competitions. Mudryk next to him, who I think this is also more force of habit than deserved. Pedro Neto on the right. He's been looking dangerous and promising. And I think this is a dangerous front three that will get goals, especially with Nkunku and Neto. And I think Mudryk obviously can produce good things, just not consistently. Next in the midfield, I do believe it's going to be this 3. So I think it's going to be Dewsbury Hall, Joao Felix, more an attacking role, and then Romeo Lavia. And I don't think Lavia's going to play the full 90. I do, however, think he'll play maybe 60, 65, which would be good for him as he's kind of getting back into the groove of things, getting back into this competition. And Felix, I'm excited to see. I think he has not gotten an immense amount of minutes. He didn't get any in the Premier League yet today, which I was a little bit surprised by. And I think he deserves probably all of these minutes. Even if it's not necessarily going amazing for him, I think he deserves to have a full 90. And I think he'll get that this week against Ghent. And then the back four. I think we're going to see our first start for Ben Chilwell this week. I think he's wormed his way back into competition here. I don't think obviously he fits in perfectly with the system, but against this kind of competition, I think it'll be a good opportunity for him to get minutes. And then the Monaco duo with Badiashile and Disasi. At times stalwart, at times they seem like Swiss cheese. So it's a little bit of a coin toss with these two. But I do believe, like they did against Barrow and like they have before, I think they'll be fine in the back. And then this, of course, is not our Josh Achiampong. However, his card is, for whatever reason, I don't believe on this website yet, on Footbin. So Footbin's awesome, by the way, if you want to just kind of mess around, build squad builders, do squad predictions, stuff like that. It's a fun thing to do with these FIFA cards. And lastly, in between the sticks, Philip Jorgensen, who I think, again, if he continues to put in solid performances as he has been, he will knock on the door. I'm not saying he is in pole position by any means. I think Sanchez has to have a handful of games like he did today with a handful more mistakes like he did for Jorgensen to get a shout. But I do think it's possible. So that is my predicted 11. And my score prediction for this match, I do think we're going to be confident. I think we're going to go in. I think we're going to continue in the form that we have been. And I think we're going to score a good handful of goals. I think it's going to be 4-1. I think they do score a decent amount of goals. I believe they have 14 in 8 matches in their league. So they score decently. And I think they likely could get a score against us. So I think it'll be 4-1. I think it'll be comfortable. I'm not really worried about it. It's at Stamford Bridge. We've been in good form. I think that form will continue because it's been consistent thus far. So that's where I think we're going to land. I think it's going to be a good match. I think it's going to be a good watch as well. Okay, guys, lastly, the 10 cents before we wrap up this video. This one is a little bit of a negative, which I'm not going to do every week. Trust me, it's not going to be a negative every week. But this is just in response to a performance I saw today against Brighton, and I've seen almost every time he stepped onto the pitch this season, and that is Micha Mudryk. My 10 cents is that I believe Micha Mudryk is gone in January. I think he is either on a permanent or a loan with obligation to buy. I don't think he's going to be here the rest of this season. And the reason I think that is because he is the definition of anonymity. What I mean by that is simply that he doesn't come on and make an immense amount of mistakes or come on and pass the ball into our own net or punch somebody in the face and let the ball get headed into the net like Big Robbo did today. He doesn't do things that are super noticeable negatively, but the problem is he doesn't do anything noticeable positively either. He is so disconnected from the rest of the team, and I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's his positioning, if it's a lack of trust between the players. He does not get on the ball, and I think he doesn't attack the game. I think that's his problem. I think he's obviously raw, but I also think he doesn't get many chances because he does not attack the game himself. He waits for the game to come to him, and it doesn't, because we have players on the right that are much more confident and much more willing to get involved. So my 10 cents, I think Micha Mudryk is gone at the end of this year, if not right at the beginning of the second half of the season in January. And I think that also has to do with the fact that we have a wealth of riches, including now Jadon Sancho, who I think we have an obligation to buy, so I think he'll be a permanent player. Correct me in the comments if I'm wrong. I could absolutely be wrong with that. But I think he's gone, and I think it's a shame because I like the guy, but if you're not performing, there's only a certain amount of chances you're going to get. So there's my 10 cents for you. All right, guys, well, that's it for today's video. If you've enjoyed the content, if you want to get involved in the conversation, please hop in the comments down below. I'd love to get involved with the conversation with you guys by dialoguing there. And also subscribe if you want to see this content. I will be trying to do this weekly, probably Fridays or Saturdays, either with a match preview or a review or both like we did today. It's going to be good to just continue to stay on top of the content, stay with Chelsea as we continue to really go up this season with this positive trajectory. And even if things start to go down, it will not affect content creation. So thanks for tuning in and looking forward to next week.